I was just telling Suku that I worked for the United Nations. Where there is conflict, that's where I go, when they have war. After the war, I go and I clean up. That's my job, to rehabilitate countries. So I went to East Timor after the war in 1999. The UN called me and said...
Diana. With Princess Diana in Africa.
Right.
She
did a lot of work, yes. I've been to Africa too. So after East Timor, and I went there, restructured the country. They used to call me like the prime minister of the country because of all the work I was doing there. So I restructured the country, I left. They got independence just then, I went for that, and so on. Then I went to Liberia. They had 15 years of war. They broke up the whole country, just like East Timor. Everything was broken down, damaged, they had nothing. Just people whose lives were saved. I think they had about 2 million deaths. In East Timor, they had 200 and something thousand killed in the war. Devastated, totally devastated. In Liberia, they still had some houses up. In East Timor, none. After Liberia, where I did a lot of rehabilitation, built schools, hospitals, police stations, magistrates court, because if you build a police station, you got to build a magistrate coordinated so that in case of anything, they can... And they were meeting, police were meeting on the trees. They put a little table or they knock up 2 pieces of wood and they had the police station under a tree. The magistrate had a magistrate court in his house. And when he got lock up anybody, he locked them in his bedroom. So I had to put things in place.
Integral part of the house.
Right.
The what part?
Integral.
So those were things that I had to do there. You go to villages of 20, 30,000 people. When I went there to talk about people getting together because they were still angry at each other because of ethnic differences. One man tell me, Sister Faith, we believe in God. Yes, we believe that we got to forgive each other and so on. But how could I forgive that man? That man ate 48 people in the village during the war. We can't forgive him. So this is the first time I go into a country where people eat people. So I said, he ate 48 people? They said, yes. So we began, I had to get over that because I can't be a leader and looking, 48 people. So I said to him, what happened? He said it wasn't he alone. Other people eat them too. Because it was war.
They must have been hungry.
You know, when in war they use drugs, all kinds of things for people. Because an ordinary human being has a heart and a conscience. You can't eat somebody else. You got to be on drugs or something. So when you fight in wars, all kinds of things happen. Children warriors, they would come to you and say, what you want? You want a smile? A Charles Taylor smile? Or a short sleeve? What does smile mean? Tell me if they ask you if you want a Charles Taylor smile. We are smiling all the time. What mean?
You mean child heart?
No, the cut out all the hair. So you teeth this all the time, you're smiling.
Smiling, yes.
So they say you want smile and they cut out all of this. That's the war. If you say you want a short sleeve, the cut from here. So you got a short sleeve, all right? And children, teenagers doing these kinds of things. So when you drive around Liberia, a lot of people have short sleeve. I saw only some of them with no lips. A lot of them died.
Does the same thing happen in Darfur?
Darfur is terrible, yeah. But that happened too in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
It was terrible there.
I know that.
And what they did, a woman is walking down the road. One of the men told me, he said, I come pray for me for forgiveness. And I said, what did you do? He said a woman was pregnant and she came and my colleague asked her, was she getting it? She said she didn't know.
Yeah.
So we said, we're going to cut open her belly to see where she get in. So the two men cut open her tummy. When they went in was two little babies, twins she was getting. So they pull out her. And sorry to talk these sordid stories, but I'm trying to show you the work that I did. So they pulled out her intestines, and one put a stick there, tie the intestine there, and the other intestine to the other end there, and then they take the two baby, they scrape the skull, and they put it at the edge, and she died. So they were saying if the enemy, the bridge, Christine, my sister came to see the place. You know the bridge where the whole thing was shot up?
Oh, yeah.
Right, because she was asking, all the lampposts and everything had holes in them, bullet holes. So she was asking them, they would just use the machine gun. And so there are holes all over that country.
Was a massacre.
Well, yeah, it was war.
You are told country.
Okay, so here I'm saying to people, I want you to forgive when they have seen all these terrible things happen to their relatives. One man, say he was over here in your shop, and his parents live over there with his uncle and some children. He heard they were shooting up, but he didn't know it was in his own house. So he left the shop, went home, and found, don't let me tell you what the bodies look like, because they don't just kill you when it's war. They do all kinds of things. And he found his whole family. He was the only one saved out of 10 people in that family. So these are things that happen, and you're asking people to forgive and to start anew, to rebuild their country. So I had to work on their minds. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if we don't do this, what will happen? If you don't forgive, you will continue to hate and destroy. And I wanted to change them from hate. I wanted to change them from not trusting their neighbors. So we worked together. Not only there I worked, but whenever I went in, then I trained people how to get people to forgive and to move on. But we had to give them something. So I started to build schools, to build back some of the churches, some of the maternity centers where women would go and deliver, but they used midwives. So we gave the midwives things to help them. When we did that, everybody had to come together to build, because I said, I'm giving y'all $25,000 US to help to rebuild this school, or $25,000 or $1 million to do these 4 things. This is US dollars. Not a whole lot of money, but it would help.
Yeah.
And I said, but y'all have to come together. And I want y'all to fetch the stone from this mile to that mile, fetch water. They had to do it together, and it was one way of getting people to work together. Took a while, but they did it. And this is how we became a community again, caring. Because the children got to go to school, then you train everybody. You train them to be nurses, you train them to be teachers, how to build things, how to,
Yeah.
And that's how we got together, and how I got them to forgive and to learn to help each other. And they still got problems, but, they're changing, they're developing, and so on. So this is what I said, that God, people say, you spend so much time out of the country. I said, yes. But every 6 weeks, I was back in Guyana for 2 weeks. I kept pace, but it gave me the opportunity to go and see what real poverty is, what real crime is, because we ain't even got the number of people. I just came out of the Sudan. I started in the Sudan in May to now. So that's like 5-6 months I spent in Sudan. You can't want more war and murder and crime than in Sudan. It's the largest country in Africa. They have 48 to 40 million people. And they have had a 50-year war since the British left. It's 50 years of killing each other. 200 and something thousand people died, so many millions died. Just in South Sudan, where I was working, because they have nothing. They still live in huts and lie down on mud floor. In the city. I ain't talking about in the interior or in remote areas. I'm talking about the city. Okay? So God took me through that. I believe in God. I make no excuse for it. I believe in God. And I believe that He took me through that to lead me to this. Because I never had the idea that I would want to run for president of the country. But I think He showed me through all these paths so that I could understand something.